Are you sick of setting up all your gear every single time you have to shoot a video for your YouTube channels? Well, today we're going to be talking about how to build a YouTube studio at home, some DIY tips, some affordable options for you to get started coming up.
YouTube Secrets is out now. Learn the strategies of today's top video influencers in this step-by-step YouTube success playbook. Get your copy today at tubesecretsbook.com.
That's right. Welcome to Video Influencers. My name is Benji Travis, and we're going to be talking about a YouTube studio, how to build one. We're going to give you some tips. Of course, I'm in a studio right now, and I love the ease of recording content because I'm not just going live from here. I'm also able to record videos. So we're going to be getting into your tips, but I've got a special guest who's an expert when it comes to building studios. His name is David Foster, and he's built tons of creators' studios. Here's Pat Flynn, even myself, and he's even advised people like Sean Cannell, right, co-founder of Video Influencers, Nick Nimmin. He's got a great channel called LiveStreamingPros, creates content around not just live streaming, but YouTube studios. So David Foster, 2,500 creators later, thank you for being here at Video Influencers. What's going on?
Thanks for having me. I'm happy to be here from Portland.
Yeah, and you know, when I first started this Video Influencer show on Saturdays, I was doing it from my little office back at home, right?
I saw that office.
Yeah, tiny little office, and it just wasn't practical. A lot of, you know, you couldn't fit a lot in there. So I wanted to turn this garage into a space, and it was really, really boring. But I knew that I could do so much with it. What's the power of having a proper YouTube studio, and what people should consider when they're first getting into thinking about it and planning for their home build?
Well, so the first thing you need to get out of your head is that you need a huge space like a garage. I mean, I could have turned your shed into a studio. I just saw the other day a kid who took a studio or a little shed in his backyard, and it is a full-on gaming studio that has LED lights everywhere. It's amazing looking. So you just have to kind of think outside the box, and any size space will work. So, you know, just not like do an inventory of everything that you have, you know, and just like get out of your head, because that's the thing. People think, oh, it's all this tech, it's so hard to do, but it's really not.
Yeah. And, you know, so obviously if you guys are watching this right now, this is a pretty big space. In fact, if I go to our other camera, you know, I can interview people here, and we've had 2 guests before, but there's a lot of other spaces. What I love is even Sean Cannell, the co-founder of Video Influencers, he has his own space, but in a tiny little room. I've been there, right? We've actually created content there. I've actually gone live there before as well, but you don't need a huge space.
No, I'm in a 700 square foot apartment, right? And half of my living room is my studio.
Yeah.
So, you know, like I said, I can reach back and touch my desk behind me.
Yeah.
And so you don't need that much space.
Absolutely. So you guys, we're taking your questions, so leave them down below. We'll try to answer them all at the very end. But we quickly want to get into the tips for you guys trying to build a YouTube studio at home, you know, like some affordable tips. So let's get into tip number 1, which is this. You want to use what you have. Grab an inventory of what you own, because a lot of people, they're thinking they have to buy a whole bunch of stuff. Why is this so important before spending thousands and thousands of dollars on equipment before you get started?
Well, because you might already have the things you need to get started, that you can save the money to buy the things that are going to take you to the next level. For instance, if you're using a laptop and you're going live from your regular camera, investing in a $50 to $100 webcam might not make sense, because it's only going to make it that much better. When if you saved $200 more, you could get like a Sony A5100 camera with a lens and make it actually considerably better to where it's noticeable. So try to think about future-proofing yourself. So just getting started with what you have, your phone or whatever, or if you have an old camera that might work as a live streaming camera. If you have any of the Sony A-series cameras, you've got a streaming camera at your house already. So, you know, just looking over what you have, see if it's something you can use, or just going with your phone and then creating a goal to work towards gear that's going to future-proof you as long as possible.
Absolutely. And I love that you brought up the phone. Honestly, everybody has a smartphone. These smartphones, I even have an old one with a crack in it, right? You have the iPhone 11, which is even better. It's totally game changer.
Yeah, 4K 60 on the front and back camera. So this is a content creating machine, and Apple's software is already tied into like Facebook and everything, to where it's easy to send content to these different places. And live streaming, same thing. You can just go live right from this phone on any app. So you really don't have an excuse these days with the Samsung phones, the iPhones. Phones are just, they're like huge studios in our pockets.
Absolutely. So on that note, you know, if phones are a great way to get started, everybody has no excuse, right? Because everyone has a phone for the most part, right? If you don't, then you definitely want to consider buying something with a nice camera on it, or just getting your first camera. But if you're starting with your phone, the second tip is a microphone. That would be the first investment. Why is that important? What do you want to look for when it comes to a microphone and building an affordable, you know, YouTube studio?
So I would argue that a microphone, the audio is the most important part of video, because I will definitely watch a bad video if it's got really good audio, you know, but I will not watch a really good video if the audio is bad. So if I were starting out and I had my phone or my laptop, I would just stick with my laptop camera and invest in something like maybe a Blue Yeti Nano, which is about a $99 microphone, or a Audio-Technica AT2100, something like that. Just something that's lower cost and gets you, because those are, they really don't make bad microphones these days. So if you have any USB microphone, really, you'll be good. One of the things that I always tell people is just take even a bad microphone. The closer you can get it to your mouth, the better the quality is going to be of that microphone. So even if you have, you know, an old USB microphone, just get it close to your mouth and you should get better audio.
Yeah, let's actually pull up a Blue Yeti and show you guys that this is a legit microphone.
Yeah, and that's its big brother behind it. So that's the Blue Yeti, and then that's the Blue Yeti Nano. The reason that I like the Nano is because, so if you're doing podcasts or anything like that, it flips up and you can throw it in a bag and it has a very small footprint. Plus, it's just a really good overall microphone. So I look at, you know, when I'm getting ready to buy gear, I look at what my goals are. If I'm creating multiple forms of content, so if I'm traveling and wanting to do a podcast as well as have my studio, then I would get something that I can also travel with. Or if I'm just going to be in studio, then I would get something more permanent, which would be a bigger microphone than that one. But
absolutely, you know, and I'm glad you brought up microphone as the first thing to invest in. Honestly, even if you had to use your onboard mic, there's a lot of things you can do when it comes to a microphone to actually enhance its capabilities, right? Just like we can use a lot of natural lighting to make like a really, you know, a low-end camera look better. What are some things that you can do when it comes to a microphone to be able to pick up cleaner sound? You know, in this space, for example, when we first started, there was so much echo, right? Even the nicest microphones had some issues, but there were some things that you taught us to do to actually enhance the capabilities of even these microphones.
Well, and the main key is just get it as close to your mouth as possible. So if you've got an iPhone and you're creating content, and let's say you're not doing it in the studio, you're doing like tech reviews or something, get all the B-roll of the product. If you're reviewing this camera, for instance, get a lot of really cool shots of this camera, and then when you record your audio voiceover, watch the video back and hold the phone here and record your audio.
True.
You know, that way you're going to get like podcast quality audio right from your phone. I just say you want to be as intimate with your microphone as possible. So there's a lot of people, they don't want their microphone in their shot. Well, just move it down. I'm going to move this down so that it's just out of the shot. Like if you notice in my videos, my microphone is right here where I can touch it, but you can't see it. And it still sounds great. So just get it as close, whatever the desired look you have is, just get it as close to your mouth as possible. And then just adjust it. Like it's always a personal preference thing, because you're going to have people that if you don't have a decent microphone, you can get like a lot of hissing noise and stuff like that. So you do have to play with it a little bit, but it's just not being scared to dial the knobs. You're not going to break anything. So max out the volume until you get a sound that you like, and then get feedback from people. Ask them, how does this sound?
Oh yeah. And you guys know, if you've been watching us for over a year, we had some growing pains and all kinds of echo and buzz. At one point, I sounded like a robot. So, you know, it's a work in progress, but I'll say there's two things, and you can comment on it if you want, that we did to help muffle the noise to make these microphones sound even better. So obviously you guys can see over here on the sidewall, there's all this foam. I don't even know what the proper word is, but this is going to help soak in the sound so that there's not as much echo. So in addition to this, we also have a rug underneath because this is just a hard floor. We've got some kind of epoxy on here, so that's easy to clean. But underneath where I'm sitting, there's this huge, very shaggy rug. And then a third little thing is we have a curtain over here. You guys can't see it behind me, but again, we're doing as many things in the space to literally create like a clean, muffled like ecosystem.
Right. So what I did, like I had a room that had wood floors and just a regular bedroom, nothing in it, absolutely nothing. I walk in and it's an echo chamber. I laid down a rug, and then I have the back of the wall that's going to be where my camera's facing. That had a window. I put a moving blanket up over that window. Then over that, I hung a brick backdrop, and then I hung moving curtains all the way around. And you literally you could hear a pin drop in there. It was like an audio booth for a recording studio. So it's just basically you're trying to stop the sound from bouncing. So if I'm sitting here and I'm talking, I'm going this way, I would put foam, there that's not going to be on camera. So just stuff to stop that sound because it's going to eliminate echo. Because like the studio that I have right now has a ton of echo, so I have to have my mic a little bit closer to my mouth. Yeah. So you just have to play around because some people, there's nothing you can do. Some people's partner are not going to let them cover a window with a moving blanket. That would be bad. So you can find tricks to help, but they're not as permanent.
Absolutely. And hopefully you guys recognize that a lot of the tips that we're giving aren't necessarily even buying really expensive things, right?
No, you could literally use towels.
Yeah, totally. You can use things around the house. You just got to muffle the sound.
Yeah, go to Goodwill and you can buy, and like moving blankets, they're like $7. And if you put like 3 moving blankets on your wall that are out of camera, that muffles the sound just as good as these.
Yeah, for sure. So if you guys are loving this content, hit that like button. Comment below what is the takeaway for you so far. But without further ado, let's get into tip number 3, which is find a dedicated space, which seems obvious, but there's so many people that they want to like always set up their gear. And part of the whole reason we're doing this broadcast is to teach you guys how useful a YouTube studio can be. So what would you say when it comes to finding a space and what to look for and what things to consider?
Just consider like even a basement or just a space that's not really used.
Yeah.
And I have literally seen people do this in a closet. And I'm not even joking. There's a walk-in closet this person has that they have it set up long ways and just put a little thing behind them, and their clothes are off to the side. You can't even see them.
Yeah.
You have to worry about this little box that you see behind me right now.
Yes.
That is the only area you have to worry about.
Yeah.
So it does not have to be a huge room. So just walk around your house, talk to your partner, see if you can grab that little corner in the basement that's been, collecting cobwebs that you've been thinking about making a man cave for 10 years. Take a space like that and make it something, or a bedroom or whatever, a den.
A great example of this is Jevin Dovey. In fact, he has a whole video on creating YouTube space, like a YouTube studio. Mm-hmm. And in that video, Jevin shows you this room of his, right? It's very small, but he has so many different angles, which I love. And so if you guys want to see his video, I would definitely highly recommend it. I've actually learned a lot from it, but he has 3 different angles in this room. Now, there is a big window that he covers up with some heavy curtains to control the lighting. But again, like he is a legit creator doing some amazing things, creating amazing content, but he's got this small dedicated space. Funny, during the video, his wife wanted to print something, so in the middle of recording, like he made it a joke kind of thing, right? So we all know that there's some challenges, you guys, when you're at home. You've got a dog maybe and some noises, but try to find a space that is the most least used, that you can just set everything up at.
And that's another thing we always tell people. We had a lady that was just so freaked out because she lived in a city and there was nothing she could do about sirens and city noise and stuff like that. And so we're like, just make something out of it. Your audience is there for the content. They're not going to really be worried about that stuff. So she actually made it, used it in her content, I can't remember how she used it, but not being afraid of that stuff. Like if the kids walk in or something, or our dog, we always bring our dog up on and show people, and they absolutely love her. And actually, We get tips a lot of times when she's on screen. So,
Yeah.
you know, you can find ways. All you have to do is eliminate excuses and not worry about stuff like that, because at the end of the day, people don't care about stuff like that. You know, they're there for the content. You just got to make it fun, and you just got to roll with whatever happens.
Yeah, totally. And speaking of fun, the other example I want to show you guys is another channel I really respect, and they aren't even using any lighting. They're using natural lighting. Now, we talked about like covering up the windows and making sure to black out all the light. But my wife, who actually started her YouTube channel, started with natural lighting.
Which you can do in Seattle.
Oh, totally, right? Because it's like overcast. But even if you're in like a sunny area, you can put up like sheer curtains that just kind of like block out.
It totally depends, because like if you're on a side of a house where the sun is actually going to directly come into the window at certain points of the day, then just plan to record your videos in the morning.
Exactly.
You know, there's ways to do it. You just have to figure out how your space. It's like the old car. You get in the car, and to start it, you got to hit the dashboard, right? You got to figure out that little thing for your studio. What is it that you want to do ultimately? And just make it happen.
And so, you know, to create the kind of light that we have in here, what kind of lights did you install into this studio? The ones up top?
Yeah, these are the Aperture 120Ds.
Yes.
Which are amazing lights.
But how much does it cost?
So with this whole outfit, about $750.
$750, you guys. So it's really,
and there's two.
Yeah, and it's really expensive. But the reason I bring it up is to recreate that on the cheap, which I mean free. Use natural lighting. And so the example I want to show is Sunny Lenarduzzi. Like so many other creators, right? Not just females, but a lot of beauty people, they love the natural lighting. You can see like in this is not a good example because she's actually using proper lighting, right?
Right.
But that window behind her, she used a lot of natural lighting in her video. So let's go find an example of her natural lighting setup. A lot of people, they just start out with natural lighting. The reason natural lighting is so amazing is because it creates a softbox look.
Yeah.
Right? The sun is powerful. It's the most powerful light known to mankind, right? And it's the cheapest, funny enough, because it's free and it just comes through the window. So set up your camera right on the windowsill with the light behind it, and you're gonna get this kind of this softbox look. So do we have an example ready of one of Sunny's videos, you guys?
Well, and the thing about that too is like, if you look at how balanced it is too. I mean, it also depends on your camera, but that's the thing. People get in their head that you absolutely have to have the best equipment, and you stop yourself from creating content because you think, oh, I can't get started until I got a light, until I got a camera, until I got a microphone. That's not true. She's using a window.
Yeah. And so let's go back to Sunny's video. So one thing, I don't know for sure, she might be using another light. I don't know.
Yeah, that looks like she's lit.
She might, but I'll tell you this, like the natural lighting will kind of create this. In fact, I would argue
Go back to it's a few years ago.
Yeah, you have to go way back, right? But what's awesome about natural lighting is it's almost impossible to recreate. There's just something about natural lighting. So don't discount a big window in your house, right?
Well, and think about how much movie companies pay to reproduce that light indoors.
Exactly.
It's expensive.
So, okay, we're going to go ahead and move on to tip number 4, which is software. Use software to create content, to record, to run your YouTube studio at home, which I know a lot of people don't think software, right? Because I just use a camera. I've got the light and the microphone. Like
capture card.
Yeah, a capture card. You always got to have extra SD cards, right? But why software? What is it about software that's so powerful? In fact, we're using software right now to put on this live stream, but also to record content later.
Yeah, because software is where you are bringing in your camera. So like if you have this camera runs an HDMI cable out to a capture card that's in your computer. Then you bring that capture card into the software, and you can do that with multiple cameras or whatever, your microphones. And it's like you have your whole production in the software, and then I'm able to hit record. I'm able to throw lower thirds, which are the names. Like if you can throw my lower third down here right now, This is a lower third that has my name and everything. That's all done in software.
Yeah.
So I can pretty much build up this whole production. And what that does is that allows me, so with the software that I use for a PC called vMix,
Yeah.
I can actually do what are called triggers, right? So if I switch to my camera, I start my show, I hit a button, it runs my intro with my music. As soon as that intro is done, that cuts away. I start talking. 5 seconds later, my lower third comes in, and I can program that all to be a one-person show so that I don't have to do any of that manually.
Yeah.
Right? So it basically makes it so that you can cut down on your editing time. It's called live to tape.
Yeah.
So you're pretty much recording your video and making it so that in the editing process, you're pretty much just cutting at that point.
Yes. And so if you guys are a little confused on the software tip here, so what this is you're connecting your phone to a cord, HDMI or camera.
You can do your phone too.
But your camera to a HDMI or some kind of cable that's going into some kind of computer, whether it's a laptop or a desktop, and you're
Via a capture card.
Yeah,
You have to have a capture card.
So what's dope is you're replacing a cameraman. Most people would either just hit record and just hope everything's all good, or you have your computer as your visual. Basically, it actually works as a monitor as well as your control system. So vMix is what I use.
And that's a PC software. I really want to talk just a second about PC versus Mac for live streaming. Because so Macintoshes are not Macintosh. iMacs. They're not the best for streaming because the encoding is locked down, which is an Apple thing they don't have to do, but they do. And so for the money, I can get like a $1,500 PC that would be equivalent to like a $7,000 Mac, right?
Wow.
But you have a lot of people that really want to stream on a Mac, and you can. There's a software called Ecamm Live, which is a software that actually it's an app.
Ecamm Live? You said Ecamm Live?
Yep.
Let's pull that up while you're talking about it.
Okay, yeah, and that's we actually have a tutorial at livestreamingpros.com/ecamm that covers exactly how to use it, and there's a link in there to get it, and with a free trial and stuff. But it is the most efficient software on a Mac because they're an app. So Apple actually gives them access to split the load between the GPU and CPU. Now that sounds pretty geeky to some people. What I'm saying is the graphics card and
so
your processor.
we got your website up here, right? Where's the Ecamm Live stuff?
Oh, that's all Ecamm.
Oh, it's all Ecamm.
Yep, that whole webpage is dedicated to Ecamm.
Awesome. And so if you guys want,
it's free.
You can go to livestreamingpros.com/ecamm to get a tutorial if you guys are using a PC.
Yeah, and that's ECAMM. Just so you know.
And so I'll tell you, like in addition to using vMix or Ecamm, another tool I like to use is this, what's it called? X keys. In fact, if you guys go out wide on me, right, there's this little button thing right here that I'm using. And just watch this, okay? I'm running vMix on my desktop, but with this, I can control the different angles. So obviously you see us wide, right? Then you can see me over here, and then you can see David, right? And then you can go out wide. So that's really powerful. So let's pull it up to show people specifically what it is. It's
called a switcher.
Yeah.
And basically you program these keys to switch to cameras, to throw lower thirds, to do all of this stuff. And the cool thing is, like I was saying with triggers, I can make it so that with one key press, I can program it to do like 5-10 things after that key press. So for instance, if I wanted to stream, I can make it so that I start the stream, and then it starts my countdown timer, starts my, like all of this stuff in motion. And that's what I'm saying. Like when you try to build out a show, you're doing it usually as a one-person production. So it allows you to not have to think about pushing all those buttons. You press one. Yes. And so with vMix, you can use MIDI controllers. So I could use like a MIDI keyboard. Yeah. You could use a drum pad. So you can use an Xbox controller. And then you don't have to have that. You can just use your regular keyboard on your PC. You can program like a number pad. You can program that for every camera and stuff. So it's not something you absolutely have to have, but it's nice to have because you can write, like on ours has like what camera we're switching to written on it and everything. Yeah,
I'm telling you, like when I do this show, it is so useful for me to literally be able to control everything. As you saw, I just controlled it, right? Again, going back to David, going back to me, going back to David, going back to me. And then we want to go wide as an option. so that you guys don't have to have a cameraman behind your camera. Have you done this? Okay, if I haven't convinced you yet to, number one, create a YouTube studio, two, use something like Ecamm Live or vMix to run your recordings, and three, get this X keys. Have you ever made this mistake? And you tell me if you've ever done this, where you've recorded or you think you recorded, and after you're all done, you forgot to hit record.
Oh yeah. Yeah, there's been
crazy.
Oh yeah, and there's been times where like I've recorded a whole video and did remember to hit record.
Yeah,
mic wasn't on.
Mic wasn't on.
Like in our studio.
Yeah.
Like I forgot to turn the audio on in my studio, and I recorded a whole like this, and I was like, wow, I nailed that.
Yeah.
And then I look over and I was like, no.
I don't know if you can, but you know what would be great if you could do a screen capture of your computer to show all the different functions. So create an input and show. But again, the last thing I want to say, and then we're going to move on to the last tip, and then we're going to get into some Q&A and different cameras you guys should be using when setting up your YouTube studio. But you can literally see everything. So you can see if your video is coming into the computer, right? So you can talk us through everything that's going on here.
Everything?
Yeah,
really?
yeah.
Right now?
No, yeah. Go ahead and talk about the general things.
Yeah,
like
so
even what you said about the microphone.
I know it's intimidating, but look, so you see the audio meter in the middle and over to the right going up. That is the whole audio section right over there. And then everything you see on the left is all of the sources that are being brought into this production. So you see all the cameras there. You see like the videos and stuff that are in there. There's the intro with Benji and Sean with the book down there. And so you pretty much build out this whole entire production just by going to add an input, and then you can bring in, you can bring in guests through a call. You can create lower thirds. You can do so much stuff with this software.
Yeah.
And it just makes it so nice
Yeah.
for recording videos, because look at that. You've got everything you need right there for a full. And we're talking like CNN news broadcast quality shows coming out of that.
For sure. And the last thing I want to say is let's bring up this example. So Sean and I made a video called the 21 mistakes on video influencers. I want to actually show that video right now, because that video was created through vMix. And Sean wasn't even with me. Like I pulled him in through the internet, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, I don't know, he might have pulled me into his vMix, but you can actually connect two vMixes. And so he recorded his bit. Then we switched to me, recorded my bit, right? And we were able to create a whole piece of content. So I can't tell you guys enough how important the software aspect of your YouTube studio is and how powerful YouTube is. So let's go ahead and pull up that video of Sean and I on 21 mistakes, and let's just let it roll for a bit. So what we did was we used vMix, right, to control my camera, or not necessarily my camera, but like the different angles. He recorded his part, and we're doing this live. So like we're able to talk to each other, and of course afterwards we edit everything. But we can get back to me now. So dude, I can't tell you enough. We're gonna
well, that's the thing I'm saying. Like it makes you much more efficient content creator, because like when I got my studio done, the only thing I sat there and did was thought, okay, what can I create now?
Yeah.
Like it just takes out all these barriers of not wanting to do it. You don't have to set up, you don't have to tear down. And so you're just like, then it's just like making your list and sitting down and recording and getting it edited. You just become much more efficient.
Absolutely. So if you guys are new to this channel, this is Video Influencers. We're helping build your influence, income, impact with online videos. If you're just chiming in, we're talking about building a YouTube studio. We're giving you some tips and tricks, affordable options, obviously DIY, do this at home, because it's so efficient to create content when you have a dedicated space. So hit that like button if you guys are getting value, and let us know where you're watching from, what kind of content you create. So do we have a question up here?
Hey, Jason.
What's up, Jason? So anyways, we're going to get into the fifth tip in a second, but let us know again what your channel is all about, what kind of content you're going to create in this studio, so that we can maybe give you some pointers or some tips. But the fifth tip that we have is create a background, right? Mm-hmm. I'm gonna love talking about this, because you already know where I'm going with this, right? So tell us about a background, how important it is, and some tips, affordable tips to create amazing backgrounds.
Yeah. So what we say about backgrounds is to bring your personality into it, right? And when you first got your studio done, and it was just this solid gray wall.
Yeah.
That there was no personality. Yeah. Like the only personality you had was you, right?
Yeah.
But it looks like you're in an institution. And then I was like, let's at least put a light behind you, okay? Can we at least put a light back there so that we can break you up a little bit? And there you go. That completely like changed the look of that set. So it's the same wall, same distance. You just added a little bit of color. And then I flipped out because one day I tuned in and I saw this big background and I was like, oh my gosh, I ran. I got up and I was like, Luria, he did it. He added a background. Look at that. And look how that looks. And that is your personality. You've got your book back there. You've got lights of color with the red. You've got a light. You've got pictures. And it's showing your personality, who you are. And it's not something that most people are really going to pay much attention to. Yeah. But you do have those people that look and they get to know a little bit about you. You know, you don't like to water your plants, I guess, but you like them.
Yeah, and speaking of backgrounds, let's talk about your background. Yeah. Let's actually pull that up because there's a lot there to talk about as well. Talk us through your background.
Yeah, so I like my set a little bit darker. I love LED lights. That's like something I'm very passionate about. And you can see I've got Marvel stuff. I got Captain America's shield. I got my guitars off to the left. You can't see those. I got Han Solo's blaster. You might like Legos. You might like... might like books, whatever. Like Luria really likes books, so she has books, and then she has some robots and some Wonder Woman stuff, stuff behind her.
Yeah.
And so it's just basically finding things that bring out who you are, but you also want to make sure that things that bring out who you are have a little bit of color to them. Because you don't want it to be drab and like so this is one thing that I see a lot of people do that really is like it drives me. Yeah, it's like when my obsessive compulsive side kicks in is when somebody's doing a live stream or a video and they've got a messy bedroom behind them or a messy closet or they didn't even take the time to like move the clothes out of the camera angle. Right? Don't do that. Do something that just like makes it look nice, and it's about your branding. You're competing with like tons of content creators, and you want to kind of set yourself apart a little bit. And like I said, it's just this little square. Make this little square look good. There's a TV commercial where this guy is talking to his wife on FaceTime with his kids. And she's like, how's everything? He's like, oh, everything's perfect. It's going really well. And then all of a sudden, there's this clean thing. And after she hangs up, it zooms out and there's spaghetti sauce on the wall and pancakes dropping from the ceiling because he only worried about that one clean square that was seen on camera. And that's basically the same thing. You only have to focus on that small area.
Yeah, for sure. And, I want to actually pull up another example real quick of how important a background is. But before we do that, can you tell us what are some quick tips, right? Like things that are really affordable and really quick. In fact, let's just talk about even the light, right? Like of course, that's not necessarily affordable, but there's a lot of affordable options to create much better background in people's YouTube studio builds.
Yeah, most people have lamps sitting around their house. Go buy a $5 blue light bulb and stick it in a regular lamp and just put it behind something so that you're just getting the glow. Like, for instance, you can see just right off camera here, you can't see it, but there's just this panel light shining in that's adding some color back here. And it adds separation. I don't look like I'm against the wall, right? And so that's what you're kind of trying to do. You can find all kinds of little things. You can find an extra bookshelf or something and put a light on it that has, or light candles in the background. There are a lot of people that I see doing content that have candles and stuff in the back, and it just something to make it unique.
For sure. Lighting is so important.
Front and back.
For sure. But lighting in the background is probably one of the quickest ways. As you saw, right? Went from a gray background that looked like a penitentiary kind of look. I mean, it looked like just a concrete wall to literally just a little bit of color that popped, right? And so one of the things I wanted to recommend was a product. DVE Store actually was a place I bought a lot of things. It's a little pricey, so it's not necessarily affordable, but I'll tell you, it's the all-in-one tool. And so what I like about it is the prismatic, right?
It's called the Prismatic Spectra.
We're using two of them here right now, and it's actually showing up. Can you tell me a little bit about this light and what you know about it?
Yeah, so I use these lights now in all of my builds. I have 3 of them in my studio, and the reason is because I can set the light temperature on my camera, and then I can set the exact light temperature on these lights, and I have the same light. So I find a lot of lights like this, the Diva ring light, for instance, and certain things. They have a yellow hue to them, even if they're on white. So it makes the color off on your, so if your camera's dialed into white, then that light's casting a little bit of yellow on you. It can make a big difference with your shot. So I like these because it's like a true white light. That's why I also like, you know, and you're going to get that from your more expensive lights.
For sure.
If you're buying the cheaper ones, which is fine, don't let that stop you. You're just going to not get the quality that you get from the higher priced lights.
For sure. And the prism.
And I wanted to say about the prismatic too is you can change it to any color.
Oh yeah, let's
full RGB spectrum.
In fact, I mean, why don't you do this? Like, pull up the light, get it behind you. Like, go grab it, David. Put grab it so people can kind of see. So go back. Like, that ring light can literally change to any color temperature. It's so portable. And you know what's crazy about this light too? You can actually put batteries in the back and you don't have to have it plugged in. Oh, dang, I didn't even know you did that. So hey, so let's go back to you now. Oh, okay. It's not. There you go.
So I'm changing the color from my iPhone app.
See, look at that. Did you install some like spyware into this studio? Because I didn't even know how you did. How'd you even pick that up?
Because it's Bluetooth.
Oh, that's so crazy. So you guys, I'm telling you, this is the light to get. I've bought probably like 7 of these for all the different places that I shoot videos, and it's amazing. It's bright. You can control how bright it is, the color temperature, and the actual colors, and you can control it from your phone.
Yep.
And they don't necessarily sponsor us. A guy who owns DVE Store, he's worked with us. Of course, he's giving me some homie hookups and discounts, but I buy this light like there's no tomorrow. Okay?
Well, I'm looking around here, and like I want to say 80% of the gear is probably from DVE Store.
Yeah, for sure. So shout out to DVE Store. If you guys are looking to build a YouTube studio, that is the place to go for a lot of the gear. Again, prismatic is not necessarily the cheapest option.
It's way cheaper than a lot of the same kind of light.
Yeah.
And most of them you don't get the full RGB. So you know, we had I can't remember, we had a stream one time and Guy gave us a code to sell 10.
Yeah.
We sold 10 in like an hour.
Yeah.
Like people just and everybody that got them, they love them.
And I wish, and hopefully we can get this done in like the next 30 seconds. Put our prismatic link down there in the description. Even if we just put the DVE Store link down there, it doesn't have to be our link, just any link, because I'm telling you. But anyways, I want to show you guys a great example. We're gonna show my wife's old YouTube videos when she first started out, and an example of a horrible background, and then show you her latest beauty background right after that. So let's pull up. Look at that. That's my old real estate office, you guys. Well, how embarrassing.
How many years ago is that?
And that's me. Okay, I don't know why I'm in the background. Okay. Anyways, that's kind of funny, but look, that was a decade ago, and that's an example of how bad a background can be. And then let's go ahead and pull up one of her latest It's Judy Time beauty videos, right? And show you how much of difference a background can make, right? Even with the same equipment, same lighting, how it can literally change up the whole vibe. I thought I was doing her a favor by giving her a dedicated space, because before she was in our bedroom, right? It was dark. She was just using natural lighting. And look, so this is her newest space, right? Obviously, a much better vibe, pink walls, YouTube, pillow, obviously
Sony camera, probably.
Yeah, obviously it's so many years later.
$9, Chris. $9 will get rid of those ads.
So and let's bring it back to me. I'll tell you, the background is something that probably you can change right now and completely change the whole vibe of your content. But when it comes to your YouTube studio build, we just mentioned a whole bunch of different ways to spruce it up. I'd say the number one tip is just clean it up, right? Like my wife didn't have a choice. It was
don't have a naked man behind you.
Yeah, I wasn't quite naked, but yeah, like that was just my office. It was horrible. If you have a space that's kind of messy, like David said, clean it up. Right? Add a cool, bright, colored light. You can get some cheap ones. Get the prismatic. Invest in it, or like we did, like put up a whole bunch of stuff that kind of like aligns with your brand.
Just take a little bit of pride in it. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like put a little bit of pride into your set, into the design, because at the end of the day, that's how people that are viewing your content are gonna, now not to use a negative word, but that's how they're gonna judge you. That's how they're gonna perceive your content and anything. So you have literally 30 seconds, if that, to make a first impression. If these people don't like what they see, and you don't look like you care, they're not going to care.
Absolutely. So you guys, we're about to finish this up, but we want to take some questions. If you guys want us to talk about camera gear, I didn't want to get too much into camera gear because it can get expensive quick, right? But I know a lot of you have questions about cameras and a home studio build. Hit that like button. I want to see that jump. And if I see that jump, we'll stay on and talk about cameras. But we're about to answer the first question and then move on to some other points. What is the first question that we've got right now? What's the first question? All right, you want to read it, David?
Sure.
Because I can't really see it.
Ryrobio. I use my phone X to record my videos and was wondering, how do you make the bars on the side go away? The bars on the side, if you're talking about you're recording in landscape and the bars are showing, that's not going to show on the video as long as you're bringing it into an editing software and expanding it. So I don't know, like there's a lot of variables to that question. I don't know what orientation you're in and all that stuff, or what aspect ratio you have it set in. So, basically the way that I do it on my iPhone is I just open the native camera app right here. And in the native camera app, if you just turn your phone like this, those black bars are there, but those aren't going to show up on the YouTube video. That's a YouTube thing. So the only way you could change that is if you have, I believe it's like the Samsung Galaxy will record in a 21:9 aspect ratio. This is a 16:9. So you're not going to be able to get rid of these black bars on the sides. But it is still 1920 by 1080. It's still full HD.
Awesome. So another question that we have here is from Journey to Wellness. I live in a RV and have no room to record videos. So
Not true.
So I started filming while walking around a park. My videos are informal, not a vlog. Should I make getting into a studio a priority? Now, I'll tell you this. Number one, if you're watching this, you're probably wondering about a studio or moving into a studio. I'll tell you, depending what you're talking about, there's nothing wrong with making that space your studio, right? Mm-hmm. Like that RV your studio. And of course, it brings a different vibe. Again, you live in that RV. Why don't you make that part of your branding? But what would you say about
my
that?
friends Sean and Madeline Hyatt,
Okay.
Michael Hyatt's daughter and son-in-law, they lived in an Airstream, and they did a show in their Airstream, and they just set up their little kitchen area and set a camera on a tripod, and then that would go in and out. They would, of course, have to move it, but it totally looked cool. You do not need a lot of room. So for you to say that you can't record videos in an RV, that is not true. You don't need to go out and get a studio space. And actually, if you're doing content that's around travel and outdoors and stuff like that, it's even better for you to be in an RV.
Yeah.
Like I understand you're not a vlogger and all that stuff, so maybe going out and walking around doesn't make as much sense, but you could set up something even outside under your awning or something. I mean, there's so many options that I would love to have an RV and be able to travel and create content, because I'd literally find this little tiny space in my RV that I would set up like a studio, like the kitchen area or something like that. So you really do not need a lot of space. What that comes down to is a camera and your lens. If you're using your phone, you've got a pretty wide lens on your phone already. But if you're in an RV, getting something like this Sony A5100 with like a 16 millimeter really wide lens is going to really give you a pretty wide shot to create. And even like the GoPro or something with the super wide, you're able to get so much information in there that you don't really need that space. And then you get the camera can be like literally this close to you. So you like the whole space thing is not this space, not the NASA space thing, but the whole like needing a ton of space, not true.
Not true at all. And so I do believe that there's all kinds of options in terms of, different cameras you can use. But I think, again, it's all about I got to plug in my computer. About to die. We don't want to do that. But
Yeah, I see you had the Moment lenses pulled up there.
Oh, yeah. So you want to pull up, what is those lenses? You want to talk about that real quick?
The Moment lenses that he had just pulled up there, those go on an iPhone or an Android phone. They have different cases, and what you do is you just put the case on, and then, can you pull those lenses up again on the screen? Yeah, those right there. So right there, bottom, yeah, that one right there. That is a super wide lens. And that actually will give just as much information as like the ultra wide lens on the iPhone 11. So if you don't have an iPhone, if you have an iPhone 11, you don't need that lens. But if you don't, that lens will give you a ton more information and allow you to record in a much smaller space.
Awesome. Well, you guys, thank you so much. We're going to take a couple of questions about cameras when it comes to like the best cameras for a YouTube space, but we're going to wrap it up here real quick. If you're getting value out of this, hit that like button. Comment below. Again, what are you going to be recording your content for? What kind of channel do you have on YouTube? We really want to know. But real quick, what are your favorite cameras for a YouTube space and why?
So I just did a video a week ago, I believe, where I deemed the Sony A5100, which is you can find for $300 on eBay or even refurbished on Amazon. I got 2 of them for $600. It's a great streaming camera out of the box. And for that, then you get like a $400 lens, which is a Sigma 16 millimeter, which I have on my, this is a Sony A6600. This is a 16 millimeter Sigma, which is a really wide lens.
Yeah.
And gives it a really nice, like the blurred background, even being semi close to you.
Yeah.
That combination is under $900, and you've got the look that you're looking at right now. I mean, you've got a better lens, but this is an art lens as well. I mean, this is going to give you a really great look. And if you look, can you play my studio again?
Yeah, we'll definitely pull it up.
Yeah, so that right there, that's the A5100 camera with the 16 millimeter lens, and I'm literally an arm's reach away from that camera. I can reach up and I can actually touch the lens from where I'm sitting.
Awesome.
So you don't need a lot of space again.
All right, so I just want to give some quick shout outs to Jonathan Ayala. Thank you for the super chat. He says, appreciate you guys. Thanks for all the info. Also, Guy Cochran, thank you so much. Actually,
hey, Guy.
The owner of DVEstore.com. So we really appreciate you supporting this content.
Is he giving that to you or me? Like,
oh, maybe I have to give it to you. Maybe, Guy, let us know in the
yeah,
comments who that was for, okay? We got to... So you guys, we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. If you guys want to get the extra content, make sure you join our members program, which is down below. Just hit the join button. We do exclusive there. Make sure you pick up YouTube Secrets. Boom. Where we actually talk about everything you need to know when it comes to YouTube.
Secrets.
The secrets. You can get it on Amazon or Audible. If you guys want to see our whole playlist when it comes to everything gear related to YouTube, click or tap the screen right here. If you guys want to check out Live Streaming Pros, David's channel, click or tap the screen right here. I'll talk to you guys later.